Hello, hello. Welcome to the unpacking of the 12 principles, the Code of Principles for Sacred Healing. Today we are on principle number 8, and the theme of that is that which is not love is not real. And in case we haven't met, I'm Laurie Morse, the 30-year practitioner of Chinese medicine and the founder and director of the Sacred Health Academy, where we teach and walk with women who are struggling with their health, have tried pretty much everything, knows she needs to include her sacred self, but she isn't quite sure how. So we walk with her, we teach her, month by month. There are themes and all kinds of. It's basically a path or a journey, if you will, that reaches into every crack and crevice of a human life in the most blessed of ways, not not in an invasive way. So I'm happy to be with you here today. We've been going through these codes of principles, and if you've missed the first 7, you can go back. There's classes on all of those in our page here in the Facebook page. But let's talk about this. We've been talking about the art of returning to love and how we need to bring all this energy back to love that has been, that has been basically turned into anything but love. So we can call it fear, we can call it doubt, we can call it worry, anxiety, hate, war, um, desecration of life. There's a lot of ways in which the opposite of love has been expressing itself in humanity and on the earth, and that is all changing as we speak. We're in a shift of the ages. I actually have my second book coming out, The Art of Returning to Love: How to Show Fear the Exit. That's the working title. But when we're done with these code of principles, we're going to do a book club on that book. So stay tuned, because that is going to be like the nuts and bolts, the boots on the ground of how to actually do this work. And I hope you join us for that book club. It'll be complimentary here in our Facebook page. So the thing to know is that we are investing, just like we invest our money, we're investing our energy in every given moment. And there's a whole program isn't even doing it justice, but there's a whole body of work that came out in the 70s called A Course in Miracles. And their way of articulating this truth, it's kind of a universal principle, is that there's either love or fear. It's one or the other at any given moment, and it can't be both. And that the only thing that is real is love. So all the investment of our energy that we give into fear and the umbrella of seemingly different experiences, but they're all a version of fear. I have a whole list of this in my upcoming book that I've just mentioned, The Art of Returning to Love. So, you can get that list if you're not sure. But all the things like, irritation, frustration, anger, pain, suffering, the ones I already mentioned before, they are versions of fear, and they are they're a reminder, or not a trigger. What's the word I'm looking for? They're a way to get our attention that we're disconnected from love, and then our one and only job is to come back to this connection, to connect with our higher self, and drop into our heart so that we have a fighting chance, if you will, in any given moment of turning back to love and coming back to a still center. And that's really the only that when Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now and how everything can unfold in that power, in that present moment of now, and the power of that present moment of now. That's what I'm talking about here too, is that nothing good can happen when we're, sort of living in from past storylines and narratives and traumas and pain, or we're forecasting into the future, which is usually a worried state, right? So, I mean, it's different if we're consciously envisioning. But so the thing to know about fear is that fear is only kept alive by our attention to it. So when we take our attention away from fear, there's no fuel for it. There's no power in it. There is no law in the universe that sustains fear. Whereas the number one law in the universe is that you and I are an extension of the source of all life, which is the made up of the frequency or the vibration of love. And love then is intended to extend itself into molecules and atoms or form that we're calling our physical body. Sometimes people will say, oh my gosh, the body is just so miraculous. It doesn't always feel that way if one is struggling with a health issue. But honestly, even when one is struggling with a health issue, there's hundreds of thousands of things going right still, right? So but the remarkableness is that the body is so intelligent. And how can all these things be happening and working together without our having to think about it? Beating our heart, pumping our blood, digesting our food, repairing tissue on the inside. It's phenomenal what is happening inside the body every nanosecond of time that we aren't always paying attention to. This is the life force. This is our higher presence, ensuring that we're operating in the highest capacity possible based on the given circumstances. And when I say the given circumstances, I mean the combination of what quality of food is in our body, what depth of breath we're taking every moment, how much we're moving, what our thoughts are. Our thoughts are instantly triggering emotions, and that happens so quickly. It's almost like they're one and the same, but the thought does come first. So there's a thought, an emotion, and then instantly the brain creates chemistry around those thoughts and emotions and releases them as a cascade of chemicals into our body. So if we're constantly worried, the cascade of chemicals that's coursing through our body is harmful. It's hard on our system. It breaks our system down. Whereas when we continue to come back to this center point, this center still point that is in our heart, that is aligned with love, then a very different cascade of chemicals gets released, and it's healing and it's repairing and it's regenerative to our system. So, and I get it. Most of us will say, oh, but look at all the things there are to be concerned with and fearful about. And I get it. But you know what? That's always going to be the case if we keep giving our energy to it. Your only job is to navigate your own center and your own deposit of energy, ideally into the pool or the account of love and good and of connection. That you will get so much out of that, and it will change your relationship to what now appears to be utterly frightening and terrifying in the world. And I could tell you that until the cows come home, but it won't make a difference until you actually make these choices day in and day out, and show yourself that, oh, that is actually how it works. Okay, I'll take more of that, please. Right? So just remember, there is no law in the universe that sustains fear except for our own investment of our precious energy that isn't even ours. It's life's energy, right? When we invest life's energy into fear, that is what is actually falls under the category as a sin, so to speak, or a mistake. I mean, really, a sin is just a mistake. But any mistake can be corrected. And next week, we'll talk about how infinitely patient the universe is for our mistakes, right? So pivoting to love constantly. And it may seem like I'm busy, like I've got a lot of things to do. My to-do list is long. I'm running from one thing to the other. I've got a family. I get it. I get all those circumstances. It may seem like there just isn't time to focus on and be consciously aware of pivoting to love. But here's what I can tell you from personal experience is that when I place that as my priority, pivoting to love, noticing when I'm off track, noticing when fear's got me, in a chokehold or whatever, and I do the work of pivoting back and connecting and calling forth. I'm constantly saying, divine love, thank you for gently ordering my mind, body, and life. And there's a serenity that washes over me when I say that. And what I can tell you is that when I do that, when I place that as my priority, everything gets done in ways that are actually more spacious and serene than if I hadn't included love and the pivot in my moments. It increases my energy, and it dissolves and dissipates little niggly conditions around me that are they're weighty. These niggles around us, some of them are small, some of them are medium, some of them are big. So obviously the big ones are more than a niggle, but let's just put it all into that niggle category. Those are weighty. They're burdens. They're the burdens of life that kind of weigh heavy on our shoulders and make our neck and shoulders literally tight, right? If you have tight neck and shoulders, it's a signal, an intelligent message from your body that you're holding on to more niggles than it is necessary. When those are released and surrendered, and when there's a yielding to this centering and this connection with love, it there's a dissipation of all those niggles in my mind, body, and life, and it will be for you too. The spiritual law, this is a spiritual law, a universal law, universal principle, if you will, is that love and light, because they're inseparable, right, transcend all other conditions less than itself, no matter how small, no matter how big, no matter how ugly, or no matter how terrible, no matter how seemingly unworthy of forgiveness you think those things are. Love is beyond all of that, and love is beyond time and space, and knows the truth of your identity, which is an extension of the source of life, which is an extension of a presence of light, love, and life that you cannot avoid because it's who you are. You can turn your back to it, but you can't avoid being it still. And it just works better when we turn toward it and when we align with it. And so I don't know, it's almost like it's like a stick, and fear is on one end of the stick and love is on the other end of the stick. And I would love to continue to inspire you and invite you to, move and tip your scales and move yourself in the direction of this end of the stick, which is the end of the stick where love reigns. Love reigns supreme, always has, always will, is currently, even as we clean up our messy choices as individuals and as a collective that we're calling humanity. But just know that love is definitely the better end of the stick. And it does take practice, that we have from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to sleep. We have all those moments to practice, continuing to come back to the center. That is this portal to love and this connection to a higher presence that is an ocean of light and love that connects you to a quantum and unified field that is the fabric of love itself and has every answer to every problem, every solution to every situation that you could possibly need. And your job and my job is to practice connecting to that with every breath, or as many breaths throughout the day as we can. My goal is every breath. It's one of my prayers in the morning. I know it's a prayer that's praying me, because when I'm connected to that life force with every breath, it changes everything. And so I invite you into that alchemy, and I hope you practice it enough so that you can feel the utter potency of it, and you can actually feel the love of it. There's both a gentleness and a strength to it. So that's it. That's the invitation. I hope that you go with it, go for it, and don't worry if you forget, or if days have gone by and you're like, oh my Lord, I've been remiss, or whatever, however you would say that about yourself. Just be kind, if you will. Be kind and forgiving and patient with yourself and compassionate, and just come right back. That's the job. That's the work. That's the only thing we've got, is just coming back and coming back and coming back. And so that when our humanity and all of the fear-based aspects of our humanity and our divinity are brought closer and closer together, and the gap is shortened, and then we have this this breath by breath dance in our experience of life as a human being, or a spiritual being having a human experience. It changes everything. And when more of us do that, what will happen on the planet will be quite magical and miraculous. So I will leave you on that happy note. Stay tuned for the book that I have coming out. It'll be in about 3 weeks from now, I think, give or take. and we'll do a book club together. I hope you'll be up. It's not a long book. I think it's like 75 or 80 pages or something like that, and and we'll do a book club together, and it'll be juicy because you'll really get to kind of sink your teeth into some of these principles in ways that aren't just 15-minute fleeting class stuff. Okay, I'll see you next week.